What's up, man?
What is going on? Looks like you're halfway to Hawaii, bro.
Yeah, we're moving pretty quickly here, so it's one of those things where you're either going to keep moving or you're gonna be left behind. So as we're talking, my wife is cleaning and working her ass off, so I'm taking a break.
Damn, dude. I thought we were gonna just do like a little bit of draft preview. A few things lined up before we get into the season, but or off season anyway. But then we get this news. Woj is back with relevant Woj bombs, and unfortunately for us, we have to say goodbye to one of our favorite young players, somebody that we think could be like a really, really great part of the NBA's future. At only 21 years old, an excellent player. But this is the business, and sometimes it hurts,
Yeah, man. Obviously, we're the biggest fans of Josh Giddey when it comes to podcasters in Oklahoma City. We stood by his side through everything. We believe in Josh Giddey. We still believe in Josh Giddey. For me, I've got to look past the fact that I'm a little butthurt about this. I've got to look past that. I got to look at what Josh Giddey did for this um, Oklahoma City Thunder in the 3 years that he was there. Also, huge shout out to Sam Presti for sending Josh to some place that he will be able to get his shit in order. Coach Donovan is a no nonsense coach. I love it. I think it'll be great for him. A great fit there. So for me, this is a great place for Josh to kind of like spread his wings and be who he wants to be. Obviously, he wasn't getting that chance in Oklahoma City anymore because of stupid factors here and there. And I think it was one of those things where Sam Presti had kind of made it clear after Josh went to the bench that there was going to be looking at other players to trading for Josh. Now, I personally thought, I talked to Mark, I thought that Josh was going to be a piece that we moved up in the draft with. So this came to a shock to me that we're talking about a week out of the draft, and here goes Josh.
Yeah, I mean, there's two parts to this. Obviously, we say goodbye to one of our favorite players, but we also bring back to the organization a guy like Alex Caruso, and we're excited about having him back. He was with the Blue, and he's a player that got to play for Coach D back when Coach D was an unknown and really, really still is a young coach, but really young coach. And Dave, you sent me a clip of a podcast of Alex Caruso talking about the influence Coach D had on his career with some seemingly small things, but really big time things when you're talking about trying to make it in a league when just as a role player who gives it all.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that you have to look at is Josh Giddey is a playmaker. We were asking Josh Giddey to be a playmaker role player, which is a very difficult thing to do. But you're going to bring in a player that is designed for that role. I mean, his defensive mindset, the way he plays offense, he shoots like 40% from 3-point range. He's just a really good all-around role player. And I think that's what we are seeing with these moves that Sam just made right now, is that we're seeing a lot of these, I guess, Sam looking at the team and saying, this is what we need to change. We need to change this role player. We need to change this role player. We need to change this role player. Now, I don't know if this is it. I don't know if this is the last trade we make, but I do know that Sam is really looking hard for just the perfect combination of players that we can bring to this team next year. And if you look at the way that you bring Alex, you've got J-Dub, you've got Chet, you've got Shea, you got Dort. I mean, Cason Wallace, this team is going to be a defensive-minded set team. And if you look at the way that Josh played last year, Josh is a great player. But again, we were asking Josh to play a defensive role play, Josh was not into the role playing of defense, bro. And he tried so hard, but other teams just took advantage of Josh's weaknesses. Now you're bringing in a player that is all around an unbelievable defensive player. So when we get in these situations again, you're going to see Alex rise above and create an issue.
Yeah, I think you look at the team and how we're constructed right now, and bringing Alex in makes us better immediately. And that's really not a knock on Josh. That's a compliment to Alex, because he's one of the few players who can really fit into any team, a contender or whatever, and make that team better. So that's a big time find by Sam Presti. But then what Josh actually brings for the Bulls is actually something very similar, which is he can fit into any squad and make that team better. And so for the Bulls in their attempt to continue to improve, I think they're going to find that Josh Giddey is a really, really big piece of that. There were so many things about the game of basketball that Josh helped the young team understand, moving without the ball, and getting the ball to the other side of the court. These are things that Coach really emphasized early on in the last 3 years, and he was someone who bought in early to those things. Now, as the team progressed, there became an opportunity to go for the win now, and Josh, his career trajectory, I think, has been proven when he's the main ball handler, and basically you could just say, look at the games without Shea. This guy goes out and he puts up amazing stats. Just look at the games that he played in Madison Square Garden alone. But you look at these opportunities he's had to play where he was the man, and he has a chance to have a really special career. People maybe a little bit unwilling to believe that at this moment, but he's one of the few players who can see plays before they happen. That's what LeBron James said about him his rookie year. And he's someone who can see over top of defenses. He passes the ball to open places, and so he's going to be able to help bring out the best of his teammates. I understand that some teams will say, well, we know how to stop him. You just got to, sag off of him. And I get it, but he's 21 and he knows how hard he has to work. Dave, I want to think about it from Josh's perspective, how this kind of went down for Sam Presti. And I imagine.
Bro, he asked.
That's what I was thinking.
I don't think that there's any way that Sam Presti trades Josh unless
people asked, right? Like, it basically, to me, it was like, listen.
We heard rumblings his dad was unhappy with the situation.
And I think when he gets home, right, and he takes a break, and his agent comes back and he says, this is what they're offering you, right? And I went around and I checked the market, and the open market is much higher than that. Right. And so we want to approach restricted free agency. And when Sam Presti hears that, that's pretty much nails on the chalkboard for him.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I'll do whatever it takes to avoid entering restricted free agency. So you don't even have to ask. You can just basically say, like, your offer is not high enough. We'd like to test the open market. And it's like, look, we're going to put you in a place where you can be successful, but we don't want to go there. I think
the conversation when something like this is that we're willing to pay you $15 million a year, right? With the option of a $20 million year at the end of that. Okay, so reality is an $80 million 4-year contract, whatever. Listen,
and as people were like, you can get 160.
Yeah, like you
could be an all-star, and
you need to go out and understand this, but more so, Sam is offering him that. Why? Because I think it was quite obvious that Josh was going to have to move to the bench.
Yeah, I mean, that's a bench contract.
And I think it was quite obvious that because Josh didn't pick up his role quick enough and what was expected out of him, and Josh even said at the end of the year is that he fought it for a while. He didn't want to do it. He didn't want to play that role, and he wasn't comfortable in that role. And to me, like, he learned how to be a team player at the end, but it was too late by then. By then it was too late because now the max contract that we can offer Josh wasn't enough for him to stay. And Sam knew that. I mean, Sam's not a dummy. Sam knew that he was going to come in there with a contract that was going to be like, enough where Josh's like, that's nice, but I can get more. I signed for a $27 million contract. I want more than, double that. I want more than triple that. You know what I'm saying? Like, every player does. So Josh has an opportunity to go for the Bulls, be a restricted free agent, and see what the market holds up for him.
I think he's going to do really well. It's one of those situations.
Right. How many triple doubles his first year there?
A dozen. But I think it's one of those situations.
I was going to say 20.
You can say, like, one of your, favorite players that isn't on the Thunder team. Like we get to cheer for him because we think that what he brings to the NBA is innovative style that is from where his roots are. And on a side note, the journey of learning about the NBL and the AFL and all the things that you can about Australia from here in the States has been incredible. I hope everybody who we've got to know over the years understands how much we appreciate that, and we will track Josh Giddey through the Bulls and wherever his career takes him, because he's one of the special players in the league, and it's been unfortunate what social media has done to his and so many other people his age, their lives. And I hope that at some point something's figured out. But right now, I'm just going to say, like, we wish him the best, and everybody who is obviously going to continue to track his journey now with the Bulls.
I'm definitely watching his games. I mean, like I already like Coach Donovan over there. I feel like there's a lot of good stuff over there. So for me, I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at Josh, and I'm saying, he's going to do really well. Like, this is, guys, Mark and I are Josh Giddey fans, but this is the best thing for Josh's career. I want to be clear that I want to take away everything else. Josh is going from a place where he got 10% of the touches, right, to do something with it. Now he's going to a place that he can have 40 or 50% of the touches to do stuff with it, if not more. Because once Bulls understand, once Donovan understands how to use him, and everybody understands how good he is, I guarantee you it's going to be like, clear it. Let Josh do his thing. Just like it was when Josh was his rookie year and his second year, when we didn't have a lot of playmakers on that team. Now it's all focused on Josh. He's older. He's more mature. He knows how to hold his head up. This is the best thing for Josh. He was never going to make a $100 million contract with the Oklahoma City Thunder for 5 years. He's just not going to do that. But here in with the Bulls, he could be a third team all NBA. He could be whatever. Like, that's the thing. There is no cap to what Josh can be with the Bulls. And I think that's the thing that people don't understand over at Chicago. They don't know how good he is. All they've been seeing is a turmoil in the papers and his crappy, semi-crappy year this year. And that's all they're seeing. They don't know what they have. But let me tell you guys, and all of our Australian fans, because we know we have a lot of you guys, I am telling you right now, Josh is going to shine in Chicago. He's going to make Chicago a legit East team. And that is way better than being a fifth or sixth option on this Oklahoma City Thunder team. It just is. Because at this point in Josh's career, I want to see him successful. I want to see him get a near max contract. I want him to see him to be successful like James Harden was when we traded him. I hate saying it, but that's who I see Josh as being. Josh is a phenomenal player that needs space, and the East is going to be, we call it the easy East for a reason. He's going to stand out, and he's going to do really, really well.
But we are a Thunder podcast, so let's talk about how much Coach D trusts Alex Caruso, how far Alex Caruso's career has come since the last time they worked together, and what this team can look like now that we have. I think he averaged like 43% 3-point shooting last year. All defensive player, multi-time, and just all NBA hustle guy. Like, I was thinking about it at the end of the season, like, what type of player do we want to add? I didn't think of Alex's name, but I was like, you want a guy like Beverly without the drama. Well, there you go. Patrick Beverly without the drama is Alex Caruso.
It's a good point. I like that. I like that a lot. I think if you look at Caruso and what he brings to this team, I think you break it down and you understand that the last 3-4 minutes of the game in the playoff games, what do we miss? We missed that I'm going to fuck you up player.
Yeah.
We just did. Like we missed that no nonsense veteran presence. I knew Gordon Hayward would never be that, but I was kind of hoping he would, he'd step up into that role. But anyways, past Gordon, didn't work out, obviously.
We were dreaming, bro. Apparently we do that a little bit.
But I look at Alex, and his fit here in Oklahoma City is so seemingly perfect. It just is. It's just like it fits in, and he looks good here. He can do some really good things. And then you start recognizing, like, wait a second, Dort doesn't have to take all the best players all the time. That means Dort will be healthier and better at the end of the season. Right? J-Dub, same way. Now J-Dub, Dort, and Alex can split the duties. You know, like you throw in there Case and Wallace. Now you got 4 guys. Each one of those guys has 1 quarter of shit. I mean, what other teams can even compete with that? Is there a defensive minded guarded set that you can say 1, 2, 3, 4 with saying maybe the best 1, 2, 3, 4 punch in the last 20 years on defense?
Yeah, I mean, fuck accolades. I don't really care about those. You're just talking about like people who can fuck up your game plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
just like, you know what? That person's beating Dort. I mean, okay, cool. Well, put J-Dub on him. He's longer, he's lankier. Okay, now J-Dub shut down his step back, but he's getting around J-Dub. So let's go put Alex on him. All right, Alex, shut him out. You know, like that's what we can do. Like there's no other team that can do that. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Just rotate. Like that person can beat Alex this time. Cool. Well, stick Kaysen on him. You know, like let our rookie beat him. Like this is what's happening. You know, like this is what's going on over and over again. Like this is why you got to say is like for the first time since the season ended, I was like, how are we going to compete with Luka? How are we going to compete with Kyrie? How are we going to compete with Ant Edwards and all these other guys, right? Drew Holiday, like all these guards. Like, how are we going to compete with this? Because this is where it's at right now. We have like shit tons of guards everywhere. We put Alex in that mix. Now it's just, it doesn't matter who they have.
It makes me excited. I mean, I feel like we improved on our biggest weakness.
Yeah.
I feel like, unfortunately, we have to let go of somebody that we feel like incredibly attached to. But at the same time, you can kind of dig into what you think Sam Presti sees the future of this team looking like. And I think he says we need to build around this core of our big 3. Mm-hmm. And Caruso does that. And I think you can see kind of an idea of what the next few years will look like from acquisitions, period.
Sure. And here's the thing. We don't need to make big deals. We don't need to make big acquisitions in the aspect of we don't need to go out and trade 5 or 6 first rounders for a player. You know, there's always going to be these slight moves that we can make to make the team better without stretching. You know, like I still believe that we need to get a big man, right? But when I say we need to get a big man, we need to fucking develop a big man. And that's the difference. All right? Getting a big man and developing a big man, that's 2 different things. And I get excited because there's so many good players on the board this year for the draft as far as big men. You know, like I sent you a video the other day and guy gets me excited. I live here in Maryland, right next to Virginia. All right. So I got to hear about this guy a lot. His name is Ryan Dunn. You guys got to look him up. He's like mid-20s, late 20s guys. He's 6'8", 6'6", depending on who you ask, right? Best defender I've seen in college hoops in probably 20 years, bro. Like straight up shuts down people like I've never seen. And he's a sophomore. He's 20 years old, 21, whatever. My point is that there's so many good players in this draft that you got to stop and you got to say, okay, what are we trying to accomplish with this team? We want to get a player that we can develop. How many players are we going to develop this year? I still think we have 2 players we can develop. So we stick those guys in the G League, right? Mm-hmm. We're bringing up Ousmane Dieng, right? He's going to play a lot more in this next year. I think he's going to step up and play, I would say probably 15 to 20 minutes a game as he gets ready to go because Ousmane Dieng is going to be special next year. So my point is like, who else are we going to go out there to develop? We have to get a big man to develop. Sarr is gone. He's no longer a player that we can develop because he's going to have Achilles injury until probably halfway through the season. So we need to be able to get out and get there. So I'm starting to look at the big men in this draft, Mark. I'm starting to break it down because I don't necessarily think that Sam is 100% going for a big man. But I do think that we are going to see a big man on this team that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. There's a lot of big men that people are excited about in this draft. I'm still hoping that Cody Williams can fall to 12, but, you know, who knows what's going to happen there. overall, a lot going on. When is the draft? I think it's like just
6
a few
days.
days. 6 days.
Oh, 5 days.
5 days. So that's going to happen pretty fast, dude. Last night when I heard about this trade, it pretty much fucked up the rest of my evening. My kids really like Giddey, so they were pretty disappointed. And it's just kind of like, you know, one of those things you want to see like a player go and carry on their legacy for for the duration of their career wearing a certain jersey. If that happens, great. If not, then fine. Like we're not gonna like trip out about it too much. But there are these moments where you're like, damn, it wasn't the same because Russ was a different level of time period. But it kind of reminds me a little bit of that disappointment of I was hoping that this was going to be forever, but oh well, we got to move forward. It's going to take me a little bit longer than I'm acting like. I go through like different phases of this and stuff, but at this time right now, I get it. I get it, and I want what's best for Josh. So I'm hoping that this move will give him a fresh start, and those games we saw where he was the main man is just the beginning. That's what I'm hoping for.
I want to give a huge shout out as we end this right here to all the Australian listeners, bro. Like you guys have had a hard year with Josh. We've had a hard year with the Oklahoma City Thunder, other podcasts, but just know that we are always here. Bulls are not going to be a championship caliber team. Brooklyn's not going to be a championship caliber team. So if you guys ever need a team to go live with and hang out with, Oklahoma City, the Last Storm, we're here for you guys because you guys have shown us the light on where the game is going. It was all about the understanding of footy and the understanding of AFL that you guys put into us that makes us understand that there's more coming. Like Australia, you guys are going to develop some of the greatest players the game has ever seen soon. So thank you very much for listening. We love you all, and we'll be back soon as we can.